got them all. Now, a sad story, in fact, very sad. Kiwi, the horse that captured the imagination of all Australians with his devastating win in the 1983 Melbourne Cup, has died in New Zealand. Trainer Snowy Lupton said the horse died of natural causes in his paddock, but the memories of the victory in the nation's greatest race will never, ever be forgotten.
The Kiwis flying might beat them all. Kiwis come from last in a phenomenal performance.
Kiwi's magic moment, the day he stole the Melbourne Cup from the Aussies.
Absolutely impossible to think you could win a Melbourne Cup being last 2,000 metres from home.
The great horse loved to race. His career spanned 6 years, a long time in the racing industry. He retired at 9, and owner-trainer Snow Lupton thought he still had a good few years hacking round the farm.
He was a great mate of mine. We did a lot of mileage together, and, you know, when you lose something like that, well, it's certainly a big shock.
Bought in Hamilton for a bargain, $1,000 as a yearling, Kiwi went on to win $560,000. And Kiwi did as much for his country as he did for his owners. Kiwi was found dead in his paddock yesterday morning. Snow Lupton thinks he took a turn, but says he couldn't have a post-mortem done on his old friend. Snow Lupton's now working with Lifeline and a new 2-year-old, but he says he's never again come across a horse that comes close to Kiwi.
Well, he had a great nature, quiet nature, and yet he had that vitality.
Yeah, Snowy would be sad. It's really like losing a member of the family. Next, we tail out sports tonight with Ladies Show Rider is paying the ultimate price for success. A vicious attack on 4 champion horses at Lindy Walker's family stud farm at Wyong on the central coast of New South Wales was aimed to keep the Walkers out of the show ring. And while it's left them short, they are fighting back.
What haven't the Walkers won? Supreme in the show ring for over 2 decades, Lindy was 10 years old when she claimed her first championship. There have been hundreds since then. But behind the glory, there's endless hard work, mountains of money, months and months of training. Then someone set out to end the Walkers' reign. It took less than an hour. In a sinister night attack, they lopped the tails off 3 champion thoroughbreds, viciously struck the hoof of this prize pony with a hammer.
People may have felt spite towards us through jealousy, and obviously it was aimed at keeping the big horses out of the hack classes. So you'd be looking at somebody that's got a hack, and also aimed at keeping Lindy out of her riding classes and turnout classes.
Who do you reckon did it?
It has to be somebody that is a competitor and who is fairly familiar with how to cut a tail, because the tails were expertly cut off, and it's quite difficult. You know, an inexpert person would have had 3 or 4 chops at that tail to get it cut, and it was cut very well.
You see, a horse show is like a beauty contest, and without a full-length tail, these horses aren't in the running.
Or for the overall picture, it's like somebody without your hair, you know, or having half your hair shaved. So the overall picture is very important.
The tail is a balancing part of a horse, and it's used in their movement, and quite apart from brushing flies away, you know, it is a very important part of a horse's physique.
These tails will take up to 2 years to grow back, and there's some big shows coming up in a month or so. Normally, they just attach a false tail. It's legal and quite common at just about every event, except the grandest one of them all, Royal Sydney. But on hearing of the Walkers' plight, the Royal Agricultural Society was prepared to bend the rules, granting the Walkers permission to use false tails.
If we didn't, we'd be sending a message out there to everybody that says, you know, if you've got a horse that you're frightened of in a competition, go out and knock its tail off and, you know, it won't be able to compete in Sydney.
But the battle is not over yet. Whoever did the job on these horses was right on target.
It's not simply a game of pinning the tail on the donkey. For one, Marina Impact is no donkey, and second, he's one of the most promising young horses in the show ring. But if this tail doesn't fit and look exactly right, no blue ribbon. So the Walkers have called in the experts.
What do you think, Ben?
Well, I think you've got a problem, Maureen, because the hair's so coarse and thick, and it's been cut so bluntly, that we're going to have to try and blend it in with whatever you put into it to match. And there's so much hair at the very bottom there that it's going to be a problem.
Bev Yule, the local hairdresser, is in on the plan, which has become more of a puzzle in a sport that demands perfection.
What about if we tried those hair extensions like they do on humans? Would that work on the horse?
You could probably extend the hair, but matching the hair itself would be the problem, and to get extensions this long that are going to be serviceable.
All this because someone wants to keep the walkers out. Well, for this family, it'll just make this year's championship that much more satisfying.
Going and beating them. That would be ultimate revenge. Just beating them and saying, well, going out and saying, well, whatever you do is not going to stop me. I'm going to continue on being successful.
The mentality of somebody who would do that just escapes you completely, doesn't it? Incidentally, no play yet in that Davis Cup tie between Australia and South Africa in Durban. Apparently they tried to practice for a little while, but gave up, and they're going to have another go at it a bit later. So obviously we'll have details of the Davis Cup for you, if they play, in our show tomorrow night. But that is our 1 hour edition of Sports Tonight, February 3. Don't forget, we have another hour special for you on Monday night, featuring our brand new world boxing champion, Kostya. And we'll leave you with a taste of what you can expect on Monday night. But for now, we hope you've enjoyed the show. That's been Friday Night's Sports Tonight. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Good night.